When you retire, you're going to be looking for everything that's coming to you. And one thing that's going to be coming to you is a lump sum check that is your hourly wage times the number of hours you have accrued that is allowed to be accrued, 240 hours of carryover, 208 of the current year, and you will get a check within a pay period for your unused annual leave. That's sweet, right? That can be a nice check. Now, with a nice check comes a nice what? Tax bill. You got to remember that. So if you're going to buy that boat with your unused annual leave, remember after taxation you want to be able to buy the engine and the boat, because the boat's not too good without the engine, right? So you got to remember that in that unused annual leave. But that unused annual leave can be some nice gap money as well, right? In retirement, as in any transition in life, there's a settling out period for that transition. And it involves money, right? Where, what's this change bring about financially in my life? What difference has it made? Well, that's going to be true in retirement as well. So that unused annual leave check can be a nice check that says, all right, this is going to help me in this settling out period. So look forward to that, but remember that taxation implication. You will be taxed accordingly on that unused annual leave check by the time frame when you receive it. Let's say you retired in October of a given year, and you're going to receive your unused annual leave check in about a pay period. You've already worked for 10 months receiving an income, and now you get your annual leave good strong check in that same year. The taxes on that are going to be higher than if you're making a lower income in retirement, effective tax rate, and you receive that unused annual leave check in that lower tax rate year. Just a little tidbit there if you want to play the tax game as it relates to how and when you receive lump sum monies in retirement. And that unused annual leave check is a nice benefit. Again, your current hours that you've accrued will be multiplied by your hourly rate to give you that unused annual leave check. All right? Also, you are going to get credit for unused sick leave toward your pension calculation. That's a wonderful thing. All of your unused sick leave will be calculated or transferred into years and months, according to the rules that we'll show you coming up. And as you retire, you may use those full hours to be added on for your annuity. You don't lose those. That's wonderful. That rule changed in 2014. Before 2014, FERS employees only received a benefit for half of their unused sick leave. And lo and behold, 2014 and before, federal employees were getting very, very sick at the end of their career, right? They changed that rule in 2014 to kind of coincide with your SERS counterpart, CSRS. They always have gotten full credit for their sick leave. And when they changed that rule, and now you could get all of your sick leave recouped, the health of federal employees rose so drastically. They were healthy right to the end. It was a good rule change. Now, there's a little tidbit I want to give you today that needs to be remembered, and that is how OPM is going to count your unused sick leave and credit you for it. On your leave and earnings statement, you'll see those hours at the bottom of the statement as to how many you have accrued. Wherever that lands on his conversion chart, he lets you round up. How benevolent. Isn't that wonderful? He lets you round up. So even in this case, if someone were to have 389 hours of unused sick leave, Uncle Sam would give him credit for 394. Well, that would translate by OPM's rules into 2 months and 8 days of time that you are now going to get to add on to your actual work schedule and give you a benefit of more pension. Just like you worked 2 months and 8 days more in your career. That's good, right? Another way to kind of tick up the pension a little bit for credit. Now let's do just a little exercise here to show you how that sick leave can impact your pension, and that little tidbit I want to give you as a word of caution. If we were doing your calculation of credible service the longhand way, I would have you choose a retirement date. When are you going to retire? Now the rules say that if you don't retire on the last day of a month, that is 31, you add a day. That's just what they say, so we obey their rules and do it. We add a day. If it doesn't land on the 31st, add that day, and then you begin subtracting when you came on to federal service from the day you're going to retire to get what naturally would be your actual service. Now again, we got to go back to your 6th grade math and do the carryover. If you can't take 5 months from 4 months, you got to carry over 12 months and so forth. You can't pull out your calculator for this one, right? You got to work through it. And in this particular scenario, this federal employee has 31 years of service, 11 months and no days. That's how many years and months they have worked on the line, sat at their desk, their actual service. So they're going to retire under MRA plus 30, obviously. Now, they've arrived at their actual service time, but they want to get credit for anything and everything that Uncle Sam's going to let them get credit for. Naturally. Unused sick leave is one of those cases. So now they go to those 394 hours. They take those 2 months and 8 days to add on to their actual working time, and it gives them credible service after doing all the carryovers of 32 years, 1 month, and 8 days. That's wonderful. That's going to be part of their formula now for calculating their pension check. Now, anything that is extra days falls off of the radar for OPM. There's no cash value in days. Your throat starts to get sore, right? You say, how am I going to use those 8 days? I've given Uncle Sam 32 years of my life. I've got 8 days and I need to see my doctor. It's been a long time. How you spend those is up to you, but you go to the doctor. Now, if you're like any normal worker, like myself, you would say, okay, I've got 8 days. I've got 64 hours, right? Because when I work 8 hours, right? I've got 64 hours. Well, go back to that conversion table of OPM and look for 64 hours. Now, it goes beyond the scope of our chart, but it's going to be roughly 12 days. Uh-oh. How many days do you have? 8. But you took 64 hours because a sick day is 8 hours, because a work day is 8 hours. If you take that and have now burned 12 days, guess where Uncle Sam's going to get those days? From that month. And when he gets it from that month, you've now created for yourself 32 years, no months, and about 27 days now that you're going to lose. Wow. Here's the little tidbit worth the price of your coming today. 6 hours is what Uncle Sam uses as a sick day. So if you've got 8 days of unused sick leave, how many hours can you take? 8 times 6 is 48. Here's the caution. Don't burn it too closely, because you don't want to eat into an additional month that over time in retirement, though it's a little bit of something, that adds up over time, doesn't it? All right, so you're welcome to do whatever you want to with the days you have left over. But if those hours are getting down there, don't cut it so closely that if something really happens, you got to burn them, you're going to burn into another month, and lo and behold, you're going to have a 30-year career and you got 29 days left over that's just going to fall off the radar. So just a little tidbit. A sick day equals 6 hours by the government's calculation. All right? Though you get credit for it, make sure you don't miscalculate how they are used.